Why do artists bother painting perfectly good photos? Huh? I mean, why recreate an already good photo? Why not make something unique or artsy? Oh, there are a couple reasons, but I'm going to need a good reference image if I'm going to explain it properly. Maybe someone dashing, a little handsome, touch mysterious. Is that Markiplier? Simon, actually. It's a close up from his movie Iron Lung. If you haven't seen it and you're a fan of horror, go check it out. It's a good time. Anyway, that's not important. Let's get into it. Before anything else, let's address the elephant-sized insecurity in the room that a lot of artists have to deal with, myself included, that leads to a focus on realism. A lot of people get into attempting realistic paintings like this, at least initially, because of early art failures. When you're first starting out, you try to draw people, and you get disappointed by how it doesn't even look a little bit like real life. So after all those letdowns, it can be easy to make that realism a benchmark for success. But art is so much more than realism, and that's usually not the reason more experienced artists continue to attempt realistic drawings. There are two main reasons that I personally have done studies of real photos like this, and I think this mentality is probably broadly true for most artists, but please, if you're a viewing artist, let me know if I leave out a potential motivation or benefit from an exercise like this that you found. Well, firstly, one reason is in the name. Artists call pieces like this a study. With this kind of practice, we might study the image by breaking it down to better understand composition, perspective, anatomy, and a multitude of other details that can be learned from analyzing examples we find visually intriguing. The second reason, and the main inspiration for what I'm doing here, is experimenting with new techniques. Personally, I've been focusing heavily on developing my understanding of three-dimensionality this year. Most of that has been focused on construction for figure drawing, but I wanted to see if my more recent understanding of how basic shapes make up an image can help improve my ability to break down the proportions, light, and color in a face. Let's take a look at this point in my painting's time-lapse. Here, where I've broken down the anatomy of Simon's head into panels and basic sections. One of my greatest struggles in drawing faces has always been proportions. Size of the eyes, length of the nose, curve of the chin, etc. How I used to approach portraits was maybe making a light silhouette to scale all the features against, then drawing the nose because I found it to be the most difficult feature to get right, and then sketching out the rest of the head from there. But this time, I really wanted to try nailing my proportions by marking, pun intended, the large planes and basic shapes of Simon's face first. That's another focal point I've been experimenting with lately, and wanted to try applying it to a realistic portrait. Big to small, general to detail, it seems like every artist I've watched talk through their process has mentioned it offhandedly while teaching other concepts, and for good reason. Now, like any other time I paint, I still made some mistakes, but by creating the large shapes first and checking in on them often, I managed to catch most of them a heck of a lot earlier in the process than I would have in previous portrait attempts and save myself several headaches in the back half of the piece. One of the best ways I found while making this piece to catch those mistakes was zooming way out, so my painting was thumbnail sized, and glancing between it and my reference. It really helped reset my brain to catch the differences between my piece and my reference image. If you find this inconvenient, you can always flip your study horizontally or use a mirror if you're working in more traditional mediums. Bringing the focus back to three-dimensionality was the effort around the lighting. This shot from Iron Lung is a great reference image, partially because of how the green and orange lights fall on and backlight Simon's head respectively. I really wanted to capture how the different light sources react to the angles of the face, and see how much approaching the face with the planes in mind helped me do so. Historically, it's been very easy for me to feel that the head is too flat, and I really wanted to add depth to this image, despite how close up the headshot was. I think the next time I try a digital portrait like this, I'll have to see if I have an easier time getting the planes to come together smoothly in a value study, as in working purely in a black and white scale and then layering color on over top. And then I can compare it to jumping straight into the color, like I did here, and see which method yields results more quickly. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how this approach went. Let me know if you have any advice, alternate approaches, or new subjects you want me to tackle in future studies. But there you go. Those are the main reasons an artist might want to do a study. Either to learn from a well-crafted visual example, or test out new techniques in an illustration. More than likely some combination of the two. If you like what you saw and you found it interesting, consider leaving me a comment, throwing me a like, or if you really liked it, consider subscribing. It really helps out the channel and I'd really appreciate it.